Hey everyone, my name is Ishmael. I work on the design team, and I appreciate you guys coming here today to talk through our journey, designing software experiences across hardware and software. Before we kick off, I want to kind of showcase a reel of some of the work that we do at Microsoft. Our team is our team is brought together with a substantial amount of talented people, from industrial designers to UX videographers to human factors to UX designers. We all come together to make this happen. I'm personally excited to share this because it's an incredible journey on how many different types of designers come together to create the products that we use on a daily basis. It's an expression of dedication and grind, and we put into our work and how both hardware and software come together to make beautiful products and experiences.
So we're going to kick off with just sharing a reel to get you excited.
Hello?
Awesome. That was last month was another example and moment that we launched a new set of products for the Surface line using the latest Windows 11. First one on top you can see is the Surface Studio 2 Plus, which is one of our bigger scale devices that are used for creativity. Surface Laptop 5, where we've done so many iterations of that, and then our iconic Surface Pro in new colorways. What's so exciting about this is this is showing the bridge between hardware and software and how this comes together for the best experience moving forward. In addition, it's been 10 years of Surface, so this is a pretty big milestone for us in general. Surface was created in order to improve creativity, flexibility, and connection, to reimagine how we work and play, to empower people to do more with this human-centric design approach that's constantly evolving, right? It's like it encompasses the best in class for both Windows and both software and hardware. I guess the most important thing is like how it all started, and looking at it started off with this simple sketch, this simple idea of like, how do we challenge the conventional laptop architecture to be more adapted to people's needs and more to what they need to do in general. The original Surface was started off with a prototype, right? Where I feel like as a Surface designer, we strive on getting scrappy. The first Surface prototype was put together with duct tape, cardboard, to kind of show the proof of concept. We consider ourselves design makers. So we kind of made this prototype to kind of showcase what this can be and how this could potentially live with people. So we kind of shared this with leadership, shared this with other designers within the team, and just iterated on this until we came up with a solution that we felt that was comfortable to move forward with. So over the years, we've iterated on this product, on our Surface Pro, which has been a substantial journey for us. And every year we think about this, we kind of try to improve it incrementally. The idea is essentially the same, but like looking at the port details and how those ports are designed to be in the most appropriate location, to the screen size and making sure that we're optimizing for different use cases and different angles, to ventilation, to looking at going from a simple tablet to now our latest one, which is a 5G unit, which is you can use a lot more technology, and thinking about who's the consumer that is being used for, right? And the basis of how they create. The same way an instrument is a musician's tool, the Surface Pro is an instrument for creativity. It's a vehicle to let you express your self-creativity and keeping in your flow. This analogy is something that we kind of use whenever we're looking at this. It's a tool to just get things done, and it has a variety of different ways you can use it. We strive on being very intuitive on how we design, and making it feel natural to the user and striking the balance between human and technology in a seamless, integrated way, providing this more human-centered design approach. And then one of the things, this is kind of showcases some of our design process and how we think about things. We try to fail fast, and it's very iterative process where we start with this primitive idea. It could be done with cardboard, tape. It could be done with just an aluminum slab, but it's just trying to get the idea across. And then the middle is where we have fun. This is where all the disciplines come together, right? Where we prototype, we fail fast. It's very, we're less thinking about design and thinking more about functionality and understanding how people can use this, and working between all different platforms, between human factors, software, hardware, and bringing it all together. And then the last one is like, how do we make the complicated stuff that we just iterated on for 2 years into this very simplistic design that hides all that complexity and makes it invisible to the user, and then sweating the details to provide something that people can use on a daily basis.
Yeah, and just as Ish said, this process, it's iterative and nonlinear. So it requires working across a lot of different disciplines. I think one of the interesting parts that really drew me personally to wanting to work on the Surface team is the different backgrounds I would get to work with, the different people and different life experiences that all kind of come together to make these products. And we all sit in one room together and build the products together. And so that journey from primitive mock-ups to the refined simplicity of the end product really requires leaning on the expertise of each discipline. And this process is really scrappy too. I think what often gets seen is the end product. And what you don't see really is, the 9 a.m. foam core mock-ups that started the whole idea, and as we evolve, again, it's non-linear, so we can get very far in the design process and even be testing software experiences and realize something in the hardware is not doing what we thought it would, and we will go right back to the beginning and start that all over again. So as we get super granular into the details, it's important for us to fail fast. For example, when we were looking at pro venting, we asked ourselves, how can we hide the details so that we are still able to meet the thermal requirements of the device, but make it so that they are all, tucked into the frame of the product and that they fade away for the user, and that the actual content they're creating and working on the device becomes their focus. So even details like this end up being iterated on so quickly. We actually have machines and metalwork lab that allows us as designers, along with the engineers, to test out our experiences and ideas, even just on a small scale, so we can see and evaluate it in real time or almost real time. This is important, especially for, handheld devices, because the only way to really understand a product is to touch and feel it. So being able to run a lot of corner studies, profile studies in the real material super quickly is important to get that tactile feeling right along before it even gets to production. And I think one of the challenges with innovation and working on products that are evolving and bringing to life new experiences is, how do we communicate ideas that don't even exist yet? So one of the most powerful tools that we use internally is actually video vignette making. So just jumping into Premiere and After Effects and putting together quick visual representation really allow us to show an experience or a behavior or even a whole product story vision using rough prototypes and using a bit of that kind of movie magic. And it helps us to faster communicate with our partner teams, inspire leadership, and edit in behaviors that might not be functional yet in real life, but amplify our rough prototypes to show how we want our hinges to move or our keyboard to fold, or the efficiency we want to achieve for someone just going from inking to on the go. Even just the ability to jump into, 2D work, Illustrator to visualize UI, or more technical visualizations to understand not just the physical product, but the space that it's in, the software interactions, and being able to really map out high-level thinking is something that really helps us communicate the product vision. And so programs as this are just powerful for us to be able to do this quickly and in detail. And I think with Pro specifically, that visualization and prototyping process was super key when it comes to features like taskbar, adapting to the posture changes. You can start to see where those videos where we show the experience really come to life. And how Pro can start to adapt to you. And we want those transitions to be seamless. So the kickstand should be smooth enough that it can go down with just one finger, but it's strong enough to support every angle that you stop at. Also the intuitiveness of how you get to these postures and open the kickstand, testing out at, really a low fidelity. And then again, with the software, seeing how people pick it up and interact with it naturally and unprompted. Even though we started on the foundation of bringing the best surface typing and mouse input, as Pro's evolved, we've really watched the way that how people are using the devices, and tablet is really driving how we treat our profile, and kind of evolve so that when you're using these touch first experiences, the device feels great in your hand. And that's where you start to see, those corner studies that I mentioned earlier start to influence the hardware architecture as well. And I think even beyond that is being a designer, a device with adaptive postures is super helpful, especially when it comes to inking. I think the pen is a powerful tool, both physically and digitally. And as designers, there's really an extra sensitivity to how it feels and how we make it natural and take such a visceral analog experience, and then recreate that through haptics and display technology. So, really taking that human-centered approach so it feels like an actual piece of paper while you're inking on the screen. And then more than just a pen, we all experience the pressure of tight timelines and staying in your flow. So integrating, shortcuts that communicate with the UI through quick features, and then really making sure that it's always with you. The worst tool is the one that you don't have when you need it. So the new blades make sure that your pen is always charging and always secure, that there's a dedicated place for the pen. So it's actually enclosed when you close the type cover.
Yeah, and so as designers, when we're designing for the hardware software experience, we really try to be mindful of the customer's intent when they're interacting with their device, and how can we anticipate their next step to meet them where they're at. And so when you remove your pen from the type cover, it sends a fairly strong signal to Windows that, hey, there's an intention that I'm going to ink. And so we'll immediately show the pen menu with your favorite inking apps. And when you detach the keyboard, the taskbar icons will space out, becoming responsive to optimize for touch. And as Jazmine pointed out, we are designers that are often multitasking between apps. And so we have these dedicated buttons like the pen tilt button that can allow you to jump between different inking platforms without you having to put down your pen. And when you just need a break, you can grab your Xbox controller and jump into your favorite apps. And these are just some of the magical moments when hardware and software comes together to meet customers where they're at.
Thanks, Natassia. Yeah, from great pen explorations, and really cool to see things to keep you in your flow, as well looking at the Windows Studio Effects to really keep you in focus. Windows Studio Effects gives you direct control of some powerful camera and microphone effects powered by AI to make sure you look and sound your best regardless of your surroundings. This is just one of many ways that Windows and Surface come together to provide you with a great experience centered around you. And for more on how Surface gives you the more opportunities to make your device your own, I'll pass it back to Jazmine.
Yeah, I think Tyler brings up a great point of, how do we make such a personal device showcase your personality outwardly as well as with the features that you're using, so that it can be really an extension of your expression. So I think color and material in our Surface products has always played a huge important role in our heritage. And as creatives, I know that we gravitate towards objects and devices that really express our passions, especially in the items that we wear and that we carry with us. And that's why we're super excited to bring colors to Pro. It's something that we haven't done in this product line before. In the past, we've showcased that expression through the Alcantara type covers, but now we're amplifying that through the device as well. And it's not an easy process. I think color is very subjective. The processes that are inherently challenging to stabilize, but one of the added unique challenges of Surface Pro is the intersection of parts and varying materials that make it up. So with the kickstand and the enclosure being two separate parts, you're more likely to catch subtle changes in color because they're right next to each other. So making sure that the anodization process is stable and consistent is even more critical than if it was just, one solid piece or one traditional bucket. In addition to that, Pro is strongly tied to the accessory ecosystem that surrounds it. So with the type cover, that introduces a whole different material where you have the microfiber Alcantara and polycarbonate key sets. And so there's an extensive amount of time that goes into dialing in and tuning the color across each element so that it best embodies the natural material, but also really stays cohesive when it all comes together. And each color is different. So, the lamination process that we use on one color set of materials may react differently than it does to a different color, just due to, the chemical composition, the visual properties across each. And so this is why you can see here, we start to test out each color at a piece level before even getting to the stage where we can build it into a full type cover, for example. So Alcantara is an interesting one to dive into just because it's a material that you technically, or you traditionally don't tend to see in tech products. And that the part of the reason that why we chose this is, and why it's such a pillar to our Surface products, is you tend to associate the soft microfiber with more warmth and approachability, which strikes a really nice balance with the anodized enclosure. And it also starts to elevate, the perception of premiumness. Alcantara is often seen in the automotive industry, gearing towards higher end vehicles. And if you get a chance to check it out, you'll start to realize it's kind of got that suede-like quality to it. And that really brings us back to the approachability and connection you have with the device that you use day in and day out. But with a device that is being used every day, especially by us who are pretty rough on our devices, we can't use something that's so soft it's going to wear quickly. So we do a lot of rigorous testing on cleanability, abrasion resistance, and a lot of other reliability testing that we do. And so actually with this latest launch, we're bringing in a water-based coating, which is not only more sustainable, but also improves on the actual cleanability of the fabric, so that you can clean it with the same stuff that you use to clean your screen or your key set, while the material is still being thick and compliant enough to give you that all-day comfort.
Yeah, so in addition to this, talking a little bit more about the construction, making a type cover is extremely hard. Not only it needs to be durable, but it needs to be soft to the hand and provide the best-in-class type experience. It requires a lot of things coming together, from magnets to keycaps to the trackpad and a tray for pen and charging. Laminating all of this it's super complicated. But what we did with this one is that this is the first time we thought about, like, how can we be a lot more sustainable moving forward? It's using a one-piece Alcantara, which is a taco shaped, which allows us to just cut one piece instead of cutting several different pieces in order to bring this together. One side having the clear PU side for easy wipeability for people that are typing, and then the other side giving that great Alcantara feel to the hand. This is the first time us nailing the pen storage really well. Making sure that Alcantara can laminate around the pen was extremely difficult to put together. But with a lot of iteration and different processes, we're able to make a very simple way of dropping the pen within the storage, as well as being able to optimize to take it out and close it when needed. And lastly, one of the most important things is getting the key travel right. We wanted this experience to feel very similar or even better than our laptops, and providing that the best tactile experience and performance when using this. We implemented a scissor key construction within this Alcantara type cover, which is very similar to what we have on our laptops today, keeping this very low profile and fine-tuned. And then one other thing that we wanted to do here is we want to kind of showcase how we're committed moving forward to our sustainability goals and creating products that are really considered how they're made. So this Alcantara material uses 12% renewable content derived from sugarcane. And as a company, we're striving to push more towards sustainability futures and thinking about how stuff are constructed. Our goal as a company is to be carbon neutral by 2030, as well as thinking about how do we invest in colors a little bit more and make this more personal to users that are using this and provide the best personal experience moving forward for people.
Awesome. Yeah, building on that color and material story of the hardware, which I love, one of the largest visual surfaces in the operating system is the wallpapers, and they become such an important part not only of telling our brand, but also a way of showcasing, again, that personal expression for you, our customers. With the launch of Windows 11, we actually knew we were going to be making bold changes, moving like start from left to center, and we really wanted to celebrate that moment on the desktop. And so with that design brief of like celebrating center, we went really wide with explorations. We wanted something that felt familiar to Windows and yet signaled this change and evolution. And so we worked with both amazing in-house artists as well as external agencies. And we looked at things like form and color and lighting and materials. And, having this moment of like creative expression and exploration really sparked ideas not only for our Hoyle wallpaper, but for many of the theme packs we shipped on device. And so for the hero, we actually worked with an amazing agency called 6 and 5, where we felt like the composition and the story it told worked really well with what we were doing for Windows 11. So then it was just a matter of refining. So we looked at all the guiding lines and made sure all of them directed the eye back to center. And so we work really closely even with agencies to make sure that we're telling our holistic story. And so here you'll see the composition change to hug that start container. And then we expand again, this time refining color. And so we wanted to hold that familiar blue of Windows and embrace the blue used throughout our UI. And so this is an example of the colors we use as our default buttons and controls. We looked at things like foreground, background, saturation, lighting, and it's honestly amazing when like how much work it is when you're just given the brief, like make it blue. And so from there, we did the work to make sure it also felt great with our system acrylic and icons, like the whole ecosystem, both in dark and light mode. And then when we landed on a color story, we felt like we landed somewhere that felt really approachable, but also reflected the energy and moment of our update. So then we actually had this opportunity to work with the Surface hardware team to tell that materials story. And so we started the process again, going wide and refining to reflect a thoughtful and connected color story across our ecosystem, but also across the hardware story. It's this sort of partnerships. So from like the wallpaper to the hardware, like those materials and color become really a visual form of expression. And creatives, we love working on these projects because it's where you like provide unique ways of people reflecting themselves in our products. And this is why we were super excited about our special edition partnership with London-based global design house Liberty. Liberty has like 150-year heritage of print design and craftsmanship, and they're leaders in the floral print category in art, beauty, and fashion. So we went to Liberty and asked them to be inspired by the Windows 11 Bloom in expression of color, form, tonality, and to make a print really in their own signature style. And so they started sketching. Liberty's process still follows a traditional craft of analog before transferring to digital, literally starting with a sketch and hand painting color to embrace that perfection of being imperfect, of being created by hand. The design process is then transferred to this digital space, and the process continues looking at colorways, color blocking, scale, refinement. Here's some examples of their process here. And the final result is our Windows 11 Bloom, like beautifully created into this Art Nouveau style floral that is iconic to the Liberty brand. And the color was chosen to celebrate not only Windows 11, but work with the sapphire color in the Pro line. And that's because we did some really interesting things for this partnership. Normally our laser engraving is used for engineering markings, but with the Sapphire Pro, we decided to make it a decorative element with the signature Liberty pattern. The engraving is underneath the anodized coating to give you that permanence of the decorative element while still maintaining that premium finish. And then that pattern on the microfiber Alcantara keyboard is a multicolor outside and a duo color inside, which pairs really beautifully with our sapphire wallpaper and Surface accessories. As an additional delighter, we also celebrated the Liberty pattern with a special wallpaper theme pack designed to give a sense of flowing fabric and give a nod to that Windows 11 rhythm and materiality. As we, on behalf of Ish, Jazmine, and my entire design team, Natassia, Tyler, we want to thank you for joining us and inspiring us to create new devices and experiences. As we leave today, we just want to give you a behind the scenes of just a few more products that didn't get highlighted, but just the work that goes on between hardware and software. And we're happy to answer questions in chat or offline.